So, I decided to take it upon myself to build a robot to do the video ideas for me. Say hello to Video Generator 5, or VG5 for short.
I am programmed to generate video ideas, not greet the audience. More than that, just look at his face.
Oh no.
So you're telling me that you don't have any better ideas you could generate for me?
What's your problem? My job is to generate video ideas, and that's what I did.
Can't you, generate a different result?
Nope. You either have to come up with something better yourself or use the generation I gave you.
Why did I have to program that function into you?
Don't ask me, I'm not the one who created myself.
Okay, fine. It's Among Us you generated? It's Among Us we'll talk about. Roll the intro. Video games. You like them? Don't lie to me. I know you do. Or else why would you click on a video about someone talking about video games for a living?
I don't actually like video games.
Shut up. Personal preferences aside, no matter what your stance on video games are, it's no doubt that video games are a core part of the modern day, and people from all over the world play and enjoy them. And what better time to play than 2020 when the world shut down for one reason or another? And you may be asking to yourself, what does all of this have to do with Among Us? Well, a little bit of backstory first. August 2020. The world was going on, I was sitting around as per usual, and then all of a sudden, on the 7th, something happened. Something that forever changed the upcoming years for the internet. The Henry Stickmin collection released. I've always had a sweet spot for the Henry Stickmin games since I grew up playing and watching others play the series, so saying I was excited for the collection was an understatement. But of course, you aren't here to listen to me talk about this game, you're here to listen to me talk about Among Us, right? Well, too bad, I'm gonna talk about it anyways. The Henry Stickmin collection is, well, a collection of all the games in the series: breaking the bank, escaping the prison, stealing the diamond, infiltrating the airship, and fleeing the complex. All of them being remastered to look more appealing than their original versions. But the biggest thing here is the inclusion of a brand new game, completing the mission, which just adds more enjoyment to an already enjoyable collection. Now once again, you're probably thinking to yourself, what in the world does any of this have to do with Among Us? Well, it has to do with not the game, but more so the publishers. Innersloth published both Among Us and the Henry Stickmin collection, so as the Henry Stickmin collection became popular and people realized that Innersloth also published an old game from 2018 that allowed you to play with friends, people began to hop on the game to play it, and then from there it's all spiraled into popularity over time. But what's the big deal with this game? What's so special about it that it caused it to be the #1 most popular game of 2020, and then proceed to die faster than my sanity while I spend time with VG5?
I'm flattered.
Well, let's find out. But first, an advertisement. Are you lonely, depressed, in need of friends? Who wrote this script? Me. Just read it. Fine. Then the Paste Peak Discord server is for you, with a whopping 52 members. Fish, are you sure this place is active? It looks like a dump to me. Duh, of course it isn't. The point of doing this section was to get people to join, so it is. It seems like a stupid tactic to me. Whatever, let's just finish the script. So, if you want to join, follow the link on screen or in the description to experience the wonder for yourself. Thanks. Moving on. So, Among Us. A game, as previously stated, released by Innersloth on June 15th, 2018, with the help of Puffballs United, the main developer of the Henry Stickmin collection. Now, as much as I'd like to go on about the history of Among Us's development, there really isn't too much to say since the game and its publishers were relatively unknown prior to 2020. Back in 2018, nobody knew what an Among Us was, but again, as previously stated, that all changed in 2020. So what is this game? Well, I'll be honest, I ain't sure. I guess this could be classified as a horror, but really the scariest part about the game is the in-game chat. But jokes aside, this game has you and various other people in a round where the majority is crewmates who have to complete their tasks, while some people are instead marked as imposters who have to sabotage and kill the crewmates before they finish said tasks. And as much as I'd love to say that's all there is and end the video there, it's just not the truth. So, in our typical fashion, let's start with the majority group. The crewmates. As I mentioned a few seconds ago, the crewmates' jobs are to do the various tasks around the map without getting killed by the imposters, although you can still complete tasks while you're dead, but I'll get into that more later. At the start of each round, all the players who are assigned a crewmate are all given various tasks, which can differ depending upon their difficulty, length, and what map you're on. If everyone finishes their tasks before dying, crewmates win, but if most crewmates die before finishing their tasks, imposters win. It's fairly simple in concept, but some things were added to spice things up, and those things I'm talking about are roles. Now, of course, both crewmates and imposters got roles here, but I'll talk about the imposter roles once we get to them later on. The engineer is probably one of the most mixed roles in the game for me. The whole gimmick is that you can use the vents as a crewmate, which I'm still trying to figure out if I like or not. On one hand, the added mobility makes accessing portions of the map and escaping certain doom much easier, but on the other hand, it makes trying to figure out who the real imposter is much harder and can lead to innocents being evicted. In general, this role can lead to fun moments and in more interesting interactions, but it's probably one of the most high-risk roles to get. The Guardian Angel role is an interesting idea on paper. The whole premise around it is that when you die, you can protect others from also getting killed. Sounds good, right? Well, maybe, but the way it's executed is the main problem I have with it. First off, I know I speak for myself here when I say that many people tend to leave when they die as a crewmate role or not, and I don't blame them, since being forced to watch and wait as a ghost after you finish everything is probably in my list of top 10 most boring things in video games.
It's probably in my top 100.
And secondly, even with the role, it still isn't that much more interesting. The best case scenario this role can be used in is by following around an imposter the entire game and protect everyone he tries to kill, which, to be honest, isn't what I call fun. I know there's probably some people out there who enjoy this role, but I'm sadly not a part of that train. And lastly, for the crewmate roles, scientist. The gimmick with the scientist is that you can access everyone's vitals, meaning you can see when people are alive and when they die. Sounds useful, right? Well, kinda. This can be good in certain situations when there's not many people left or when you're trying to pin someone down, but the main problem I have here is with the time limit. The more you use the vitals, the more it drains, causing you to complete tasks to recharge it. This isn't a horrible concept, but even with the recharges, the vitals still die quickly and as such are very hard to use efficiently. You can, however, get infinite recharges once you finish all your tasks, but many times at that point in the game you're either dead or the round is almost over. But hey, at least it has some uses.
Wow. That was simply boring.
Well, if you found it so boring, why don't you talk about the next segment?
Nah, I filled my speaking quota in the last video.
Good. That means you won't have to speak for the rest of the video, right?
Don't count on it.
Anyways, now it's time to talk about everyone's favorite meme of 2020, the imposters. Your main goal as an imposter is, as I mentioned earlier again, to kill all the crewmates while sabotaging them to slow down their progress of completing tasks. Just like any good thing in life, sabotaging and killing have cooldowns, causing you to think strategically when performing both. Once again, as previously mentioned, as imposters you can also vent. Venting is practically the same between the imposters and the engineer, giving you advanced mobility but a risk as well. Venting as imposters, however, does incorporate the ability to escape after killing someone so to not get caught. While we're on the subject of imposters, I find mentioning the voting system a good opportunity here. The whole idea of the voting system is that whenever a dead body is discovered or an emergency meeting is called, everyone must discuss about what they've experienced so far in order to determine who to vote out. Or at least that's what I'm pretty sure is supposed to happen, but half of the time it isn't even what actually happens. Most of the time people just ramble on and the wrong person gets voted out. But either way, there's pretty funny outcomes that can happen here. Back to the main subject, the imposters. This time around, compared to the crewmates' 3 roles, imposters were reduced to only get 1, with that being shapeshifter. And oh boy, is this an interesting one. As the name implies, getting this role allows you to transform into any player that's currently alive, even other imposters. This can lead to some super interesting and funny mind games with trying to figure out who the imposter is, as well as more in-depth ways to play the game. It is a shame though, since this is probably the role you're least likely to get in a normal game. When comparing both the crewmates and the imposters together, for me, the imposters are more fun, no contest, and I think many other people would agree. Doing many of the same tasks over and over while having to run around the map and also have to worry about being killed just isn't as fun as being the one who does the killing. It doesn't help either that once you finish said tasks, you're basically limited to watching the cams while you can continually do things as the imposter.
I find both roles boring, just like this video.
Come on, can't you just shut up for once?
If you wanted me to shut up, you shouldn't have programmed me with a voice box.
Really? You're making that argument? But have you realized that I didn't program you to make stupid remarks all the time?
I'm just trying to spice things up in ways you can't do yourself.
Well, all you're doing is coming over here and being a hindrance to me.
Well, I am sorry for being the only funny one in this room.
You? Funny? You're more annoying than you are funny.
You know, if you didn't want me to be annoying, then you could have just...
Shut up! If both of you expect me to sit here and record the video, then you better both shut up and do what you're supposed to, or I'm getting Jartar to do my job for me, okay? Alright, good. Let's continue now, shall we? So that's the main game of Among Us. But of course, we still have more things to go over. I mean, come on, it's Among Us, right? The story never ends there. Cosmetics are something you can get in the game either through buying DLC or the in-game currency. Every game needs a good economy, and Among Us is no different. At the end of each round, you can get pods and beans, with the amount varying depending upon how well you did. Pods are specific to maps you play on and can be used in the cosmic cubes to get specific cosmetics, while beans can be gotten on any map and are instead used with the in-game shop. Regardless of how you get them, however, these cosmetics are very fun to collect and wear. At the end of the day, they aren't anything more than just cosmetics, but just like any other game, they give this game personality and charm, which I enjoy. So, Among Us, wow, what a honestly boring experience. I know I didn't portray it this way, but for being one of the most popular games of 2020 and being created by one of my most liked devs, this game just doesn't have much to do, even after the inclusion of roles and other incentives to play like the currency. But I guess in the end, this game wasn't meant to be a big hit, just a niche game to play with friends occasionally. But like all good things in life, the expectations of it were raised due to the insane popularity on the internet. But in the end, there's still decent fun to be had here with this game, even if it isn't something I think about often. Sadly, I can't say the same about the memes. That was a nice trip down memory lane.
2020 only happened 2 years ago.
You know what? I think next video I'm going to get someone else to accompany me. What do you say, Philip? Just as long as it stops your arguing. Great. Let's ask Jartar and Polly. I'm sure they have nothing else to do. Hey guys, is anybody doing anything next week?
Not that I know of. Why?
Oh, no reason. Just was wondering if any of you would want to participate in my next video.
We like your videos and all, but I don't think we'd make very good commentators like you.
Yeah, and also, I just remembered, I have a thing next week.
A thing?
Yup, a thing.
Sorry, Fishy. Maybe another time.
Great. Guess I'm stuck with you for right now.
Wonderful. So now the question remains, what are you going to do for your next video?
I think I have an idea.